Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have all of my updated Terminid and Automaton builds to make sure that you never sink another super hell dive ever again. This covers all of my strongest and favorite builds that we've been testing over the last few weeks, and with the recent buff date, we tested everything that got changed and locked this in not only for the best things to bring, but also a bunch of really fun ways to play. That way you always have an option for something fun to do. We also ended up updating the new player build, and every single game that we have in here, all the clips are tested in 40-minute kill farm games where we push everything to its absolute limit. So all the videos and VODs of them being used are linked down below for you already. And there's also text guides for every single build as well. They're just a scrolling link that's also linked down below in the description, and they're always constantly updated in my Discord first, so make sure you join to keep up to date with what I'm doing. And if you have any fun or cool builds that you want me to run, just let me know, and maybe I'll get you in a 4-man stack on stream for a fun video. For now, though, we're lighting this off with the best all-around bot build this update because it had the most changes and is going to focus on removing all of the biggest threats while controlling the flow of the game by itself. Last night when we were testing everything, the accuracy changes from the Automatons felt really good, so there's a lot less need for like shielding and even a supply backpack. Plus, the Hulks lost their Mega Laser Cannon of Doom, so we have a new priority kill order. The main things that were pressuring and killing me last night were the Factory Striders. The knockback from the big cannon combined with its elevation will push you out of cover, and then you just get gatted by the lasers or whatever else is out in the open. So we take 3 things that are good at large target removal. Eagle Airstrike will usually one-shot them from a good angle, and Rocket Sentry will soften them up, but it's more ideal to just use your recoils to drop them because it rips them in 2 shots to the head. This just lets you remove the biggest threat before it can ever become a problem, and this will make the game substantially easier. The next big target was the Barrage Missile Tank. It still has the mega missiles that will one-shot you even in heavy explosive, but the change to make it die when its main body explodes was massive, and now they're way easier to remove, and we can do it on demand at any point of the game between our Eagle Airstrike and recoils just by shooting them anywhere in the rocket battery, which makes it super vulnerable from basically across the map. And when it comes down to it, the last big problem in the room is always going to be the Armored Pile Strider. The Rocket Sentry will just obliterate a ton of these, and you won't even have to think about them. The reduced cooldown on the Rocket Sentry makes it feel way better because it's easier to constantly relocate it as you progress the game. And when 4 people brought Rocket Sentries, the entire game was a cakewalk. And honestly, the Armored Striders feel way less oppressive after the games we've played, but there's just way more of them. We're getting constant patrols of 4+, and usually you only saw that on defensive maps before, but now we're seeing them on offensive maps. And with that, you need even more stuff to remove them, which is why we also have the Orbital Napalm Barrage. This lines up perfect for like every other flare, basically, whenever there's a massive call-in, and whenever you drop into a bad spot on a detector tower or something, this just gives you the reset you need. It just is a grid deletion of 50 meters, so keep that in mind when you throw it. It does have to be 50 meters away. If you're within that, you're probably going to get cooked. These 4 stratagems just by themselves will basically round out every situation you can run into and carry you through the worst possible moments. Like anytime there could have been a death spiral, usually you can stop that with this build. And when you combine it with the primary, secondary grenades, you just start cooking. The buff Purifier is ridiculous. It's so fun. It went from one of the worst guns in the game to the best. You can shoot it as fast as you can click it, but if you shoot it too fast, it starts shooting backwards, which is weird, but either way, it's an amazing trash removal gun, and with the charge up, you can CC lock everything and remove them with 2 to 3 shots. This hasn't really changed. We were using it a little bit before the update just to like mess around with it, and it was doing okay, but now it's amazing. It feels really good to use, and it's definitely my favorite automaton weapon right now. But I also had a few questions about how to use it, and doing 1 full charge into some spam shots to CC a Devastator is like the best way to do it. It blows a shield back, that you could quickly kill them. Spam shooting like all the small targets, like all the soldier bots and stuff, is the best way to go about it. And then if you're engaging a patrol, just lobbing in like 3 charge shots, it's enough to remove almost the entire thing most of the time. Moving on, we also have the Senator for our backup, and with its AP buff, it turned it into an absolute demon. I'm sure everybody knows the new Senator is ridiculous, but it lets you kill literally every enemy if you're out of options. We also do have the flex pick between the autocannon instead of the recoils if you feel like mixing it up. Both of these are perfectly fine, and it could just depend on what your teammates are bringing or if you just feel like it. I personally love using the autocannon. I'm pretty sure everybody does against bots, right? That's just an OG classic. But either way you go, this build is balanced to be able to deal with every situation the bots can throw at you and come out on top. So this is perfect for any solo or group hell dive. Now moving on to the new best bug build, I found we needed a little bit more chaff control. There seems to be less heavy armor overall. But either way, the Orbital Napalm Barrage, if played well, can be ready for almost every bug breach before the main ob finishes, letting you wipe it out basically by yourself. I think this is probably the best general use chaff removal strat in the game, and it can round out pretty much every build, and it also just looks amazing. So we have cool points on top of it being, I think, probably the best stratagem in the entire game, just because of everything that it does combined. We also take in the machine gun sentry because with the new 90-second cooldown, it feels amazing. It's basically always up and mulches pretty much everything you need it to. All the turrets also have a taunt mechanic, which lets you use it as bait and gives yourself the space that you need to remove heavy armor. That way it can keep blasting. And with its increased magazine size, it feels like it just keeps shooting forever. And as long as you keep it safe, like, you can just keep rotating them into each other. It's insane. Like, after using it, it feels really good. And anytime I combined it with gas grenade, the machine gun sentry just gave us a ludicrous amount of horde clear. We also take an Eagle Strafe because with the buff it got, it's even better at buzzing patrols, whether you're on the normal spawns or the armored bile seed. It just feels amazing to use, and it also strips armor off the big guys for when you can't get your recoils up and lets you delete them with the crossbow. Now, with the amount of space you can create and control of the map you have, you can usually blast off with the recoils, and it can delete any of the big problems in one shot to the head. Combining the crossbow with gas for the rare occasion that everything is on cooldown is also ridiculously good at just killing like a pack of guys or even clearing out entire breaches. But no matter what happens, this build is perfectly balanced to make sure the game never gets derailed to the point that you can't just solo recover the worst situations. We also have our highly requested MooDeng the God Legend build in honor of the great MooDeng not making it into the game. We did the best we could to bring the true hero of Super Earth to life. This is also just a default go-to build that will cook both factions and is set up to just be generalized as a I don't know what to pick this game build, and just be able to handle everything that either faction can throw at you with low cooldown strats for area and armor control with tons of sustain, and the railgun is always perfect for every situation. So you can bring this to solo, group, doesn't matter, it's always going to do just fine as like a mindless I want to win build. Now for the coolest and most forgiving build you can bring in, we have the Disposables. These are Super Earth's versions of the Expendables, and finally deemed the Disposables. They've been heroes for quite a long time, and it's about time they made it into a real video. And you might not think initially that this would be very good because you always have to go get a new thing. But it's good because you can always get a new thing because they're everywhere. It completely prevents death spirals from happening because it's just always something to remove any problem on the screen, and just being able to blast off with the crazy amount of rockets that are littered around the map against both factions is way more valuable than you could ever imagine. You end up in the position where there's just enough stuff everywhere that it just becomes a matter of time before you overwhelm everything, and nobody on your team has to think at all. You just throw your commando eats in a placement on cooldown, and if you ever have to kite backwards towards it, you have a ton of high-powered weapons everywhere that anyone can pick up and clutch with. You also have Orbital Napalm Barrage, which will wipe out an entire bug breach by itself, and when you have 4 of them up at the same time, it'll cook your frames as hard as the enemies. We haven't named the domain expansion for Orbital Napalm Barrage yet, so if you think of something, drop it down in the comments and we'll pull it on stream. The crazy part about this was it just started as a fun bug build, but it even works against the bots, and it's always just the coolest safe pick. The primary loadout is just thematic, so if you want to honor Terry Crews, you can run the spray and pray and RP like the first Expendables movie, but otherwise just hit it with the crossbow and the verdict for style points. This build is just about doing the coolest, most fun thing possible, and that's how Helldivers 2 should be played. This is the build I always run with people the first time they come play on stream, and they just want to do something thematic. They always see us stacking 4-man builds. Anytime I get somebody new in with it, I always get a message after about saying how much fun you guys had with it. And just that alone, like, this build makes it always take the top spot for me. But a long time ago, we had our first turret build, and we'll never forget that domain expansion. But since then, it's had drastic buffs, and with the new cooldown reduction changes, you're basically a mobile base that turns the game into a real, true tower defense simulator. Focusing on a pure turret build and practicing good positioning will hard carry any game you end up in, and the turrets have threat mechanics to taunt the enemies towards them, which keeps you a lot safer, letting you think about what you're going to do next. They're also a lot more resistant to explosives than they used to be, but still die instantly from impact from things like chargers running them over. So proper positioning is key here, and even domain expansions need a nice open area to succeed, but the most important thing to remember is that the triangle is always the strongest shape. When you're deploying your setup, always do your rocket sentry and your autocannon sentry to either side of you, and if you take the machine gun sentry, you throw it out in front for that triangle. If you take the HMG emplacement, you just put it behind it so you can cover them. If you're in front of it and a Wilbur jumps on you, you're just going to instantly die. This is also a lot more forgiving against the bots, and they don't instantly pop the HMG emplacement anymore, so you have a pretty good safety measure with everything. Now, when you do see a bug breach or a flare, look for the most open nearby spot and drop that triangle so that you can start cooking. And if you need a few extra seconds to set up, just throw your gas. It helps keeps the enemies off the towers, and all you need to do is cover the turrets and remove any big threats. Then the game basically just plays itself. Also, don't be afraid to shoot near the towers with the purifier, crossbow, basically anything that you have. They can take that little bit of punishment from those explosions, and it feels really good to play. We also take in the purifier because there's really good ammo economy, but the Scorcher is also a perfect pick for this. And then we either take in the Senator or the grenade pistol because they're so good now, and it just depends if you need to be on bug hole duty or not. We also haven't done a big build updates video in a while, and we've covered what I would consider has the highest kill potential and the ability to win solo or just carry random games that you drop into and just stop those death spirals from happening altogether. But the last meta build that I have for you is the new player build. If you're just starting the game and don't really know what to run, I link 2 videos in the description of what you can do with cadet gear after you practice. And I think that if you start up and get used to using all this stuff, it'll help you learn the game better, and you can get it all before level 5. That way you can just play with your friends that have hundreds of hours and feel like you're contributing instead of just getting carried. There's a lot of people that say things like the Liberator is terrible, but I think it's a pretty solid streamlined experience that teaches you to shoot for weak points, and most of the beginner strats are some of the best late game as well. The overall combo just lets you cast Machine Gun Sentry as a taunt to give you space and time to think, which you probably need when you're new. Eagle and Precision Strike remove any kind of armor that you'll run into, and Eats is always goated. There's never a point of any game where it's bad to just throw down Eats. That, again, just littering them everywhere is good because anybody can pick them up and use them on demand. And if you want to mix it up, the AMR and Machine Gun are both really solid. Now, those are all of my main meta builds, but I also like talking about my favorite for fun builds, the off-meta stuff that makes the game truly enjoyable for me. Doing the over-the-top, fun, ridiculous challenges or having themed loadouts with everyone laughing and having fun the entire game is what Helldivers 2 is all about. And I know the true metagamers think that you can only bring like X, Y, Z and will disagree that you can't bring like basically anything but the perfect build, but they should mind their business.
Domain expansion minefield.
Oh, don't breathe! No!
Holy sh-
What the strategies are and how they're going to figure out how to get a foothold in this new difficulty.
The triangle. We know what hole that goes into, right?
Triangle.
That's right. Square hole.
This was a meme build that we did the first day Super Helldive came out and gave a new definition to domain expansion. And with the new anti-tank mines buff, they're actually not terrible anymore. The AT mines won't blow up if you step on them, and I even had them killing Bile Titans. I thought that it would bug out and wouldn't, but they're pretty solid. And just for the record, by no means is this build good, and you shouldn't play it with random people. But every game I have recorded with this with my friends is absolutely ridiculous, and everyone is just having fun the entire time. So it's just something stupid to go have fun with. Just make sure you have a scythe or laser pistol to clear a path, just in case you get stuck in a bad situation. Now, we also have the firefighter builds. This is the most aggressive build when I'm streaming. You've probably seen some clips of it snowballing out of control.
I'm just going to throw a...
That's fine.
Oh my god, it hit a gunship.
It did hit a gunship. Come on, Orbital, no plan.
That was amazing.
There's nothing more satisfying than seeing 4 Super Earth firefighters run in and start blasting for the ultimate cooking showdown. And with the weird lighting on the scary planet, this just looks even cooler than it usually does. This was a surprise, and it was just something extra fun that we could lock in. Now, we have our old but gold laser maxing build. Don't cross the streams for bonus points, or do cross them for bonus points, whatever you feel like. But this is mainly for our no ammo enjoyers and has been a personal favorite since the very first patch and only has gotten better over time. I do think we need to keep cry diving until the limit on orbital laser uses is removed, but either way, for now, it still feels really cool and fun and thematic, and that's what it's all about. Now, we do also have the Arc Trooper build with the buffed 5G tower. Arc Armor won't save you from this thing anymore because it spams so much that anything around it is just getting absolutely cooked, but I think it's a lot better this way. We also take gas to CC everything on the tower for fun, and the jetpack is thematic, plus going further is just really cool, and it's a lot more fun to use now. And I do have a couple more interesting builds linked as text guides in the scrolling link, so this should be everything you need for Super Helldiving. All these builds are balanced in some way to be perfect for Super Helldive, which is ridiculous in its own sense. But I love the amount of build diversity we have now. The way we can just bring anything in and we can have fun just doing whatever we want is the best part about this game now. And that's why I think that this patch is so good. But if you have something really fun that you want me to try or something stupid you just want to see, let me know what your favorite fun thing to do is down in the comments. I'll make a note of them and give them a shot of 4-man stack on stream in like a kill farm game or just something ridiculous. And if you think that I'm sleeping on some secret tech, join my Discord and send me some clips. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I just want to do always the most like ridiculous thing possible. And I love new technology. So I always appreciate your guys' help with everything, and I just wanted to give you guys a double thank you for all the love on the streams recently. Y'all have been pulling up in a massive way for me, and I just genuinely wanted to thank you. Like, I really appreciate it. So just thank you for all the love. But that's going to be all for now. I wish you the best luck out there.